Hello, welcome to this India Research Center podcast. Today I have with me Air Vice Marshal Anil Golani, retired Director General of Center for Aerospace, Power and Strategic Studies, to talk about Indian Air Force, history of aviation and related topics. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us for this podcast, for coming for this podcast. Sir, first I want to ask you, what inspired you to join the Air Force? It's a very, generic and a normal question, which I generally ask my guests, that what was the motivation that they had to join the particular stream of study and the profession that they have taken?
Thank you. Firstly, thank you, Arunansh, for getting me here to Gwalior and to speaking to everyone here about the Air Force and Air Power. And going back in time, I think when the 1971 war took place, I was 10 years old at that time, and my father was posted in Dehradun, and we saw, aircraft in the skies above and all, and this duels taking place over there. And sometime at that time it clicked that when I grow up, I want to become a fighter pilot. And I think God has been kind, and fortune or luck or whatever you may say, things just worked out, and I ended up joining the academy and joining the Air Force thereafter.
Sir, in your career, like if there are certain specific phases of your career or things that you did in your career that you would like to tell our audience about, which are very close to your heart, which are like very important for you. I'm sure most of the things were important, but something that some of the things that are very close to your heart that you did during your career.
Actually, to begin with, after passing out from the academy, we went to Bidar, where we did flying on the HT2, and thereafter we went to the academy. We flew the first jet aircraft, that was the Kiran HJT-16, and that was the first time actually we started flying solo, that is all by yourself. It was an exhilarating feeling, and I recall an incident where when flying solo, it was just my fourth solo on type. I had an engine failure, and I had RT, a total electrical failure, and I had to eject out of the aircraft.
Oh.
So I was all of not yet 21, I would say, and the aircraft was written off, of course, and I got away without a scratch. So this experience is something that stayed with me throughout, because faced with a situation where you had to take a decision with no help around, split second, the matter was between life and death. So that stayed with me, and of course subsequently throughout the career there have been other instances, close shaves and all. I can just say that it's providence that a fighter pilot survives through his journey in life. It's nothing great otherwise, but yes, it's an exciting profession. It is thrilling, and it keeps you on the edge, and it keeps you going.
Okay, wonderful answer, sir. So I want to know, sir, that in today's day and age, how do you see air power as a sort of, a kind of a arrow in the quiver of nation states for establishing their dominance and also for increasing their strategic heft and power globally?
So, if you look at a nation, if you look at a nation's comprehensive national power, it has all components which are economic, diplomatic, political, information and everything, and the military power is one of those components of national power, and the military is only utilized as a last resort when nations use the military power, and it is something that cannot afford to fail, because in any conflict there are no runners-up. Now, when you look at all the three traditional domains of warfare, that is the land, the maritime and the air power. Now, of course, you have got the space and cyber and other domains as well. You realize that the quickest to respond, the fastest to respond, and to be able to deliver with precision, quickly, is the arrow which comprises air power, and I think the last conflict, of course, has proven this point, of Sindoor. But let me also add a caveat to say that it is not always air power which is going to win you a conflict, and this is something that the leadership, the political of the nation must realize, because there have been instances, you had the Israel-Lebanon conflict in 2006 where air power was used extensively when 2 Israeli soldiers were captured, but they were never returned, and so it doesn't always work. So you have to, it is contextual, and the nation leadership must realize and understand that.
Okay, I think so. There should be a good balance between different components of nation states' power when it comes to modern diplomacy and modern statecraft. Sir, I mean, we are sitting in Gwalior. It's a very important city, not just from a heritage point of view, but also from a air power point of view. I mean, while going through the different documents that we have in the archives, I found out that, the late Maharaja Madhav Rao Scindia, who was known as the father of modern Gwalior, maker of the modern Gwalior, he donated several aircrafts during the First World War that were utilized in the conflict. Apart from that, it was his vision, and later by the efforts of his son and successor Jivaji Rao Scindia, that the Maharajpura air base was established. It was used primarily for 2 purposes, the civil aviation purpose and also for, for Air Force purpose, where the Royal Air Force was, planes used to be there. So we have this history of aviation, and then of course Maharajpura Air Base has played a very important role in later conflicts and in the the larger saga of Indian aviation. So as an intellectual, as an expert of Indian Air Force, sir, how do you see Gwalior? Like, what things make it important when it comes to air power and Air Force, and something related to the air history of Gwalior that you would like to tell us?
So I think, you know very well the contribution of the royal family in the birth of aviation, as in the past. Gwalior was an airport or an airfield from which international flights also took place. But post-independence, I think, in the 80s and all, when the Air Force acquired the Mirage 2000 aircraft, it was decided to place them in Gwalior for various reasons. One is we established the electronic warfare range over here. The other major reason was that Gwalior was in the hinterland and, far away from our adversaries, both on the east as well as the northern adversary, where you could, transmit, as electronic warfare signals and all without being intercepted. And then also we had the Tactics and Air Combat Development Establishment TACD, which traditionally used to be in Jamnagar, moving into Gwalior, in the early 2000, I think 2001, 2002. So these were the reasons why Gwalior became very important and very prominent, because there is vast airspace available, there were resources available, and I think the patronage of the government, the central government, as well as the state of Madhya Pradesh provided the right environment for unhindered flying and exercises which could take place at Gwalior.
Sir, I want to ask you that when we read the news and go through the current developments, Air Force has a very important presence, and it's very important to study Air Force, even if we just want to learn more about global conflicts, like for instance the recent conflict between Iran and Israel, and the US sending the B-2 bombers to eliminate their the nuclear sites, or maybe the Op Sindoor in the case of India. So I just want to know from you, sir, that what are the modern technologies or things that you believe that will change the face of Air Force in the coming times, that you feel will play a very decisive role in changing the ways air forces around the world operate?
So I think what you need to remember is the person who sees first is able to see the target. The person who hits it first, and the person who can hit from the longest standoff distance is the one who's going to come out to be a winner in any conflict. And as we just witnessed in Operation Sindoor, which took place, there were more than 100 aircraft, 125 aircraft from both the sides, India as well as Pakistan. None of the aircraft crossed the international border or the line of control, and they fired weapons at each other from long distances and standoff. So this is something that is here to stay for one. The second issue is that a lot gets spoken or talked about on the proliferation of unmanned systems, loitering munitions and drones and all. While they do play a very important role or part in conflict, with the technology that is continually going to improve, but as of now, as yet, I think the manned aircraft or fighter is important, and which is what you saw when Israel struck Iran's nuclear facilities, and so did the United States, sending their B-2 bombers, because if they could have done it with missiles, why didn't they do it? If they could have done it with unmanned aerial systems, why didn't they do it? Because it is not possible, and they have their limitations as of now. But I think future technology will probably permit these systems also to act like normal manned aircraft in the future.
So, what is your view about the coming of drones? Like, for instance, in the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, it is said that the Turkish drones have played a very important role in the victory of Azerbaijan in the second Nagorno-Karabakh war. So, and drones have been the buzzword when it comes to today's discourse about defense and warfare. So, what is your view about their utility and the future of drones in warfare?
Yeah, so I mean, I was mentioning about that only when I say unmanned aerial systems or drones. You see, in places where you don't want to risk human life, and you want to, they call the dull and the dirty missions and all, probably you will use drones. And drones actually, the more technology you put into them, the more weapon systems you put into them, the cost continues to increase drastically. Now, if the cost increases so much that it is equivalent to that of a manned fighter aircraft, then I would rather have a person taking a decision on the spot rather than entrusting a drone to do it. But with the maturing of artificial intelligence, I think the level of understanding between the man and the machine will probably reach a stage where you will be able to entrust drones, with these missions. But I see it some time away as of now. I mean, not in the near 10 to 15 years. I wouldn't see that happening.
Sir, the way once there was a time when there was a unipolar conflict going on during the Cold War. And after that, we saw that there was kind of a unipolar world with the rise of America as when we, like the Francis Fukuyama said that about end of history and the winning of the liberal capitalistic order. And then we see with the rise of China and the discussion going on that whether 21st century will be a Chinese century or the Indian century or what it will be basically. And now we see this complication, so many conflicts going around in the world. And important thing is this, that India still relies on weapon imports and technology imports. So keeping in mind the recent developments when it comes to geopolitics, how do you see our the aviation technology development in India, indigenous technology? What is your view about it? That what are the things that we should focus on, and what are the which partners do you feel are the ones that we should try to develop relationships more when it comes to developing great technology for our for Air Force?
I think what is important is two things. Firstly, the realization that you have to be dependent on yourself has finally dawned upon India, that we have to be Atmanirbhar. The second is that niche technologies are still not available. For example, the jet engine, we've been trying to produce it, and we can't go beyond the thrust, that we actually need. So you have to partner with somebody. Now, in my opinion, I think we have to create mutual dependencies. So we must concentrate on a few niche technologies because you cannot do everything yourself. And when it comes to the crunch, in case you have a mutual dependency, like I mean today you are seeing China holding the world to ransom on rare earth, on an API and other things. So we have to become something like that. And I think India, if you look at the Indian uh, brain which is there, we are very good at software and technology and other things, and we can actually capitalize on them. That is one. The second is, I feel in aviation there are some things which the government has to focus top down, because otherwise it is not going to happen. Have a national mission kind of a thing to produce the jet engine and get into this technology, to see it fructifying in the near future. As far as partners are concerned, I think at the end of the day, each nation will act in its own national interest. What you're seeing the United States doing today is in its own national interest. Whether eventually it turns out to be like that or not, only time will tell. And so is Russia acting in its national interest. But what I would like to say is that we have had a time-tested relationship with Russia. Our relationship with the US also, after the nuclear deal, has matured considerably, and we must not allow these waves that come to affect the long-term strategic relationship. France has been a very reliable partner as far as India is concerned. So I think our acquisition of the Mirage 2000 and the Rafale and all, and there is an offer of the engine also with the Safran. So these are political decisions which I'm sure the leadership will take, keeping national interest, in mind.
So I want to ask you now, as a DG of one of the premier, Airforce think tank in India, CAPS. What are your plans about this think tank? What kind of things that you want that CAPS should be doing in the future? And anything that you would like to tell about scholars who study aviation history, who study aviation technology and things like that?
So I think we just last month only changed the name of CAPS from the Center for Air Power to Center for Aerospace Power and Strategic Studies, and I think this was in view of the work that we actually carried out, which is not limited only to air power, but we are looking at space in a big way. Our nuclear vertical is very strong, and we look at India's neighborhood as well. As far as engaging the youth of the country on matters military and specifically with respect to air power, we've started a Unni Kaltha Chair of Excellence in the memory of one of the pilots of the Indian Air Force, where the youth, that is from 18 to 40 years of age, but not in uniform, that is outside in universities and colleges, are encouraged to study Air Force history and to come out with snippets, podcasts, articles, Instagram videos, posts and all. So I think this has been a tremendous success, and we've received an overwhelming response. I think our mission is to increase awareness in the country about aerospace power, and how this is actually can become a force multiplier for the nation itself, is what our aim is, to do this.
So it was a wonderful conversation. I had a very good time having this conversation with you. Thank you again for joining us for this podcast, and all the best for the different initiatives that you have planned for CAPS. Thanks again.
Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you for getting me here. Thank you.